We don't stop playing because we grow old because we stop playing. Ah, what a declaration, and one that deserves to be carved into the very stone of human consciousness, for it is not merely a clever turn of phrase, not a passing epigram tossed to the winds of wit as one might throw a crumb to a sparrow, but a truth as profound and enduring as the rhythm of the beating heart itself. You will notice, if you listen carefully, that there is no trickery in it, no slyness, no ambiguity. It states plainly that the origin of age is not the calendar, but the condition of the spirit, not the march of years, but the abandonment of play. What is play after all, but the refusal to be ground down into dust by the solemn machinery of life? It is the defiance of gravity with a leap, the mockery of despair with a laugh, the rebellion against decay by pretending, however foolishly, that tomorrow might be brighter if only we allow it to be. Now, the world will tell you otherwise. The world will whisper in your ear, with all the conspiratorial furiousness of undertakers and bankers, that life is meant to be endured, borne, and measured by the weight of responsibility. It will tell you the plays of frivolity suited only to children and madmen, that to engage in it beyond the nursery or the lunatic asylum is a sign of waste, indolence, or even degeneracy. And so men, eager to appear wise, eager to appear strong, eager above all to appear respectable, cast off their toys, extinguish their gains, and submit themselves to the laborious rituals of maturity. They straighten their backs under the load of commerce and politics, they wrinkle their brows with calculations and anxieties, and they congratulate themselves on having left behind the silliness of youth. Yet what is the result of this? Why, they shrivel, they wither, their eyes dim, their laughter dries up, and their gait becomes the hobble of the prematurely aged. For they have surrendered the very thing that kept the machinery of their being lubricated, the playfulness of the child. It is an astonishing irony that men will spend fortunes to regain the vigor they have lost, seeking it in tonics, in elixirs, in medical contrivances of every species, and yet they will not turn to the simplest, most accessible, most inexhaustible of remedies, the practice of play. A man will submit himself to the indignities of surgery and the impoverishment of pharmaceuticals rather than dance in his own drawing room, rather than sing a foolish tune in the morning, rather than skip like a boy down the street. He believes the secret lies in triumph, when in fact it lies in spirit. The doctors will tell you how to extend life. I tell you how to make life worth it. And it is in the playful heart, the heart that refuses to grow weary of delight, that youth endures long after the body has declared itself war. Let us then ask, with the curiosity of philosophers and the mischief of children, what is it play that I so extol, and why should it be elevated above the so-called serious occupations of men? Play is not merely the rattling of dice, nor the clattering of racket, nor the chase of balls across field, though these are its visible manifestation. Play is the state of being in which the soul consents to its own exuberance. It is the willingness to lose oneself in a pursuit for no reason other than the joy of the pursuit. It is that paradoxical condition in which the mind, by abandoning the tyrannical logic of utility, discovers a higher usefulness in the renewal of spirits. When we play, we are not making money, we are not building empires, we are not drafting laws, and yet in those seemingly wasted moments, we are cultivating the vitality that allows us to make money without becoming slaves to it, to build empires without being crushed beneath them, to draft laws without turning into statues of stone ourselves. Play is not the enemy of seriousness, it is the foundation without which seriousness collapses into ruin. Consider the child. He plays without instruction, without prompting, without reward, because play is the natural plight of the young spirit. The child invents kingdoms with sticks, wages walls with shadows, conducts orchestras with spoons. He does not ask whether these things are useful. He does them because the doing is life itself. And what is age but the gradual betrayal of this instinct? The adult says, I cannot afford to play, I must be sensible. Sensible to what? To drudgery, to weariness, to despair? Tensible to the demands of a society that itself is crumbling under the weight of its own solemnity. If that is spent, then give me nonsense, for nonsense has more vitality than all the wisdom of the weary. There is, I know, a certain terror in play. One risks appearing ridiculous. One risks the smirk of the neighbor, the raised eyebrow of the colleague, the condescension of the spouse. But I tell you, it is better to endure ridicule than to endure artification. The fool who leaps into a puddle, soaking his trousers, is more alive than the gentleman who restrains himself for fear of appearing undignified. Dignity is a tomb in which many bury their youth long before the grave has claimed their body. Play is undignified, yes, but so is laughter, and yet no man who has laughed heartily ever regrets it. It is the refusal to laugh that one regrets. The refusal to sing, to dance, to frolic, to be, if only for a moment, unchained from the iron fetters of propriety. If you wish to understand why civilizations decay, look not first to their politics nor to their economies, but to their capacity for play. When Rome was vigorous, its games were the delight of the people. When Greece was radiant, its theaters and athletic contests were the very pulse of its culture. But when Rome grew old, its games became cruelty rather than joy, its amusements blood rather than love. When Greece grew weary, its philosophy turned pedantic, its art formulaic, its playfulness evaporated into pedantry. So too with men. A man who has ceased to play is already halfway to his grave, no matter how much longer his heart may continue to beat. The secret of longevity, therefore, is not merely to keep breathing, but to keep playing. For breathing without playing is but the postponement of burial. Now, you will say to me, perhaps with the impatience of the practical man, but what good is play when there are bills to be paid, families to be fed, nations to be governed, wars to be fought? Shall we fiddle like Nero while the world burns? And I answer, you are already fiddling, my good fellow, but you are fiddling to the wrong tune. For what is your solemn industry if not a performance, a spectacle enacted for the approval of your peer, a stage play of seriousness where each bows before the altar of responsibility? You scowl, you sweat, you labor, but beneath it all you are still performing adulthood, performing maturity, performing the part of the responsible citizen. If play is inevitable, then the wise course is not to deny it, but to choose it consciously, to elevate it from unconscious mimicry to deliberate joy. The banker at his desk is a child stacking coins instead of blocks. The politician at his podium is a child pretending to be king of the castle. The soldier drilling his men is a child playing at battles on the floor. Only the banker, the politician, and the soldier have forgotten to laugh at the absurdity of their games. They mistake their play for eternal destiny, and in doing so, they poison it. Seriousness without play becomes tyranny. Play disguised as seriousness becomes tragedy. If you must fiddle, then fiddle merrily, for the flames will rise whether you scowl or grin. Indeed, the truly useful man is not he who abandons play, but he who retains it. For play sharpens the faculties, enlivens the imagination, keeps the body supple and the spirit elastic. What does the man who never plays become? He becomes brittle, rigid, incapable of adapting to the shocks of fortune. He meets calamity with despair instead of resilience, criticism with bitterness instead of wit, change with terror instead of curiosity. The man who has kept his playfulness, however, treats life as a game in which setbacks are but challenges to be overcome, defeats but moves in a larger contest, furrows but temporary clouds in the never-changing sky. He knows how to bend, and because he bends, he does not break. The serious man shatters like glass. The playful man bends like willow. And which, I ask you, endures the storm? We are told to educate our children, to drill them in mathematics, science, languages, history, to prepare them for the grave responsibilities of adulthood. And so we pack their days with lesson, their evenings with task, their minds with rules, until their eyes glaze over and their limbs grow restless. We reduce their play to a half-hour recess, a guilty interlude between periods of industrious study. But what if I told you that the child learns more in a single hour of play than in a week of imposed instruction? In play, he discovers the laws of gravity by tumbling, the principles of negotiation by squabbling, the strategies of mathematics by counting his marble, the nuances of language by weaving stories with his companion. In play, the child learns to fail and to try again, to invent, to collaborate, to imagine what is not, and thereby make it. And when we strip him of play, we strip him of the very vitality that would make him not only a competent adult, but a creative one. We are not educating, we are embalming. We are not cultivating men, we are manufacturing clerks. The adult who has forgotten play is not truly an adult, but a mutilated child. His growth has been arrested, not accelerated. He may have accumulated facts, duties, and responsibilities, but he has lost wisdom. For wisdom is not the mere possession of knowledge, but the art of living. And life, let me remind you, is not a ledger to be balanced, but a symphony to be played. To live without play is to strike only the somber notes, to ignore the lilting melodies, the trills of laughter, the crescendos of delight. Such a man mistakes existence for survival and survival for triumph. He trudges from cradle to coffin, counting each day as an obligation discharged, never once recognizing that the point of life is not to endure it, but to enjoy it. Now, you may accuse me of advocating frivolity, of urging men to abandon their work and dance like lunatics in the streets. Do not mistake me. I am no apostle of idleness. Work has its dignity, its necessity, its grandeur, but the work of the man who retains play is of a higher order than the work of the man who abandons. The playful scientist is the one who discovers, the serious scientist merely catalogues. The playful artist creates masterpieces, the serious artist manufactures replicas. The playful statesman reforms nation, the serious statesman administers decay. It is not that play negates work, but that play vitalizes it, infuses it with the energy, creativity, and daring without which it becomes a barren routine. Work without play is drudgery. Play without work is folly. But play within work is genius. Let us then demolish this false opposition between play and seriousness. They are not enemies but companions, not contradictions but complements. The man who laughed is not the enemy of truth, he is eternal. The child at play is not wasting time, he is rehearsing for the theatre of life. The lover who teases is not trivializing passion, he is intensifying it. It is precisely because life is serious, because death awaits us all, because suffering is inevitable, that we must play. Play is our protest against the void, our assertion that though the universe may be indifferent, we shall not meet it with grim submission, but with dancing defiance. The more serious life is, the more necessary play becomes. Just as the darker the night, the more precious the camp. You will ask me then, how to play? Shall you buy toys, enroll in games, take up hobby? Yes, if you like, but do not imagine that play resides in objects. Play resides in attitude. A man may play with a stick, a stone, a word, an idea. Play is not the possession of equipments, but the possession of spirit. The miser who hoards gold cannot play even with diamond. The child can play with a broken pot and imagine it a palace. The play is not in the seeing, but in the seeing. To see possibilities where others see nothing, to turn a routine into a jest, a misfortune into a story, a duty into a dance that is play. And that capacity is within you, if you do not smother it under the ashes of respectability. It is remarkable how easily men deceive themselves into thinking they have outgrown play. They speak of their responsibilities, their maturity, their serious commitments, as if these words were iron bars, confining them in a prison from which there is no escape. But responsibilities are not chains. they are opportunity. To raise a child playfully is better than to raise him with grim duty. To love playfully is more enduring than to love solemnly. To work playfully produces more than to work resentfully. The prison is of our own making. The iron bars are but illusions painted upon the air. A man need only laugh at his own solemnity, and instantly he is free. Yet men resist this liberation, for they are addicted to their serious. They cling to it as a drunkard to his bottle, not because it nourishes, but because it excuses. I am serious, they say, therefore I am important. But what is importance if it robs you of delight? Better to be insignificant and happy than important and miserable. And, I dare say, the man who plays is rarely insignificant, for his vitality shines like a beacon, drawing others to him, inspiring them, energizing them, while the serious man, however important his titles, is avoided like a funeral procession. Think of the great inventors, the discoverers, the poets, the dreamers. Were they not all playful? Did not Leonardo doodle in his notebooks like a child? Did not Mozart compose with the mischievous glee of a prankster? Did not Darwin confess to the pleasures of beetle hunting like a schoolboy? The achievements we revere as the pinnacles of human seriousness were born out of the spirit of play. It is the playful mind that asks, what if, and thereby discovers new worlds. The serious mind asks only, what if, and contents itself with repetition. If we wish to advance as a species, we must cultivate play not as an indulgence, but as a necessity, for it is the only engine of true progress. And what of happiness? That elusive prize which men chase with such desperation? They pursue it in wealth, in power, in fame, and when they have grasped these, they find their hands still empty. Why? Because happiness is not a possession but a condition, not an acquisition but an atmosphere, and that atmosphere is play. The child at play is happy without knowing it. The adult in pursuit of happiness is miserable because he pursues what cannot be pursued. You do not catch happiness, you inhabit it as you inhabit air. And play is the very air of happiness. To play is to be happy. To be happy is to play. Strip life of play, and you strip it of joy. Fill it with play, and joy overflows even in the midst of sorrow. It is not the absence of suffering that makes life bearable, but the presence of play. We began, you will recall, with the word. We don't stop playing because we grow old. We grow old because we stop playing. I have wandered with you through arguments and illustrations, through examples from children and civilizations, through reflections on work and love and invention, all to impress upon you one single indelible truth. The vitality of man does not reside in his art, nor in the pages of his calendar, nor in the solemn weight of his obligations. It resides in his capacity to play. And I say again, with all the conviction that a lifetime of observing humanity has given me, to forsake play is to embrace decay. To embrace play is to defy the slow tyranny of time. You may imagine that age is inevitable, that no amount of laughter can halt the whitening of the hair or the stiffening of the joints. And of course, biology has its way with us all. But consider this, what we call old age is not a number, not merely the sum of birthdays accumulated, but a condition of spirit. I have seen men of 30 who were already decrepit with seriousness, trudging through life like condemned prisoners. And I have seen men of 80 who were yet sprightly, mischievous, sparkling with the delight of children. Which of these, I asked you, was truly old? The calendar may declare the year, but the soul declares the age, and the soul that played is ever young. There are those who will say, but sure, one cannot play forever. There must be gravity, there must be responsibility, there must be duty. And I reply, of course there must, but it is precisely duty that demands play. For duty performed without play becomes drudgery, and drudgery poisons the very cause it serves. The doctor who cannot laugh with his patients heals half as well. The teacher who cannot make a game of his subject instructs but does not inspire. The lover who cannot tease, who cannot jest, who cannot play in passion, turns love into a funeral march. The statesman who cannot play with ideas is a mere accountant of decrees. It is play that makes duty tolerable, play that makes work fruitful, play that makes life endurable. To forbid play in the name of seriousness is like extinguishing the sun in the name of clarity. You are left not with truth, but with darkness. Let us then cultivate play deliberately. Let us not confine it to children, nor to holidays, nor to those rare intervals when we are permitted to set aside our seriousness like a coat at the door. Let us wear it always, as naturally as breath, as constantly as heartbeat. Let us look upon each day not as a grim passage to the grave, but as an invitation to play. Play with our words, play with our work, play with our friends, play with our enemies even. For to play with an enemy is often to disarm him more swiftly than to fight. Play in sorrow, play in joy, play in labor, play in leisure. For life is not a test to be passed, nor a burden to be borne, but a game to be played. And the victory lies not in surviving the longest, but in playing the best. And if you still doubt me, if you still cling to your solemnity as though it were a badge of honor, then I beg you, try the experiment yourself. Laugh when you are tempted to scowl. Sing when you are tempted to sigh. Dance, however clumsily, when you are tempted to sit still. Make a game of the task you dread, a jest of the insults that wounds you, a story of the failures that discourages you. You will find, to your astonishment, that life becomes lighter, that burdens diminish, that sorrows soften, that joys multiply. You will discover that the secret of longevity is not the prolongation of years, but the intensification of moments. You will be young again, not in body, perhaps, but in spirit, which is the only youth that matters. So let me leave you with no ambiguity, no hesitation, no compromise. If you would live low, live happily, live vitally, then play. Play outrageously, play incessantly, play as though the very business of existence were not survival but joy. Play until your last breath, and even then, let death find you not solemn and resigned, but laughing at its grimness, mocking its pretension, and defying its sting. For though we may not choose the number of our years, we can choose the manner of our living, and the manner worth choosing is play. Therefore I say to you, not as a jester, but as a prophet, we don't stop playing because we grow old. We grow old because we stop playing. So play and never grow old.